and welcome to Horror Historian. My name is Amanda, and tonight we'll be discussing the 2005 horror comedy Cursed. This movie is so random, and I wish so desperately that we had the original version, but instead the Weinstein brothers decided to meddle with it, change the entire ending, and I'm just assuming ruined it. This is not up to usual standards of the people involved.
The movie was directed by Wes Craven and was written by Kevin Williamson. Those are people that were behind Scream, which means, by all means, this should have just been Werewolf Scream, and that would have just been a dope movie. Craven is most known for Scream, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and The Hills Have Eyes. Williamson is most known for Scream, Dawson's Creek, The Vampire Diaries, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. He's also a gay horror icon, so I will never hear Williamson slander. The stars are Christina Ricci, Joshua Jackson, Jesse Eisenberg, and Judith Greer. And a special shout out to Maya and Shannon Elizabeth. They are both also there. Ricky is most known for Casper, the Addams Family, and Yellow Jackets. Jackson is most known for Dawson Creek Fringe and Dr. Death. Eisenberg is most known for Zombieland, The Social Network, and most recently, A Real Pain. Greer is most known for The Village, Jawbreaker, Halloween, and narrating Devolution. That's my own personal shadow. I just really love that scary Bigfoot story.
The movie opens with two women going to a fortune teller and immediately not liking what she has to say. She's trying to warn them that something is going to happen to them at night, but they just think she's trying to scam them, so they immediately leave.
We then meet Jimmy, who is on a walk with his dog Zipper. He has a little crush on a girl and manages to have a conversation that she seems into, honestly. Like these are obviously reciprocated vibes. But she is dating a guy named Bo, and Bo is very much not into Jimmy. Well, I mean, he's not into him hitting on her girlfriend. Probably not for the reasons you'd assume. Although homophobia is going to be starting right here. There are definitely more than a few things that definitely didn't age well, but it certainly was of the time. Ellie is running late, but she has to have enough time to have us meet her boyfriend Jake Taylor. He's opening a weird club and is still working on the setup, but the grand opening is coming soon. They have absolutely no chemistry, not even a shred of it, and it definitely throws the entire movie off because no one, and I mean no one, can be invested in this romance. She does everything. Does she does eventually get to her brother, and he's annoyed that she took so long to get to him, and they're bickering when the accident happens.
Ellie hits an animal that it's most definitely not a werewolf and ends up hitting another car, which sends the other car rolling down a hill. And they immediately run down trying to help this person, and it ends up being one of the women that had just been warned by the fortune teller.
She is played by Shannon Elizabeth, and she's being dragged off by a werewolf, with Jimmy and Ellie being dragged behind her as they try to save her. They are not successful, and they are harmed in the process as well. Infected, technically, but they don't know about that yet. They do get the police involved, and Jimmy is very clear about what he saw. It was a werewolf. He has no doubt about what it was. No one believes him, though, although Ellie has to admit her reluctance to believe him is entirely because she did not see it herself. She doesn't know what happened, and she has other things to worry about. Mostly her boyfriend and her job. Things are weird at her job because a personal assistant named Joni is really trying to push Scott Baio on Ellie. Which, it's Scott Baio, the actual guy, and he's actually pretty creepy. I don't know why he decided to take this role.
Jimmy, on the other hand, is having the time of his life. He's doing a lot of research into finding out how to find out if someone is a werewolf. And he is just having a great time. He's able to stand up against his bullies, which does lead to Bo actually coming out to him, which I thought it was a little bit funny. I'll give him that much. Homophobic, but pretty funny.
Gay jokes kind of stopped there, and I have respect for that because after the first one, it had already gotten old, and it definitely felt like a Harvey Weinstein requirement. What Jimmy finds out about their situation is pretty much exactly what you expect. Silver, full moon, the shifting thing, all covered with what he goes through. The one thing that they did add was dots on the palm that create a pentagram. It's the best way that they have to figure out who is a werewolf and who is not. It is not really used, but Ellie only really starts to get into the werewolf thing after meeting with the psychic from the very beginning. Apparently, her name is Zelda, and she is warning Ellie about the situation. She lets her know that the full moon is in a few days, and the only way to end the curse is by ending the line of the werewolves that had bitten her and her brother.
Zipper, who for the most part has been largely avoiding his two owners, bites Jimmy when Bo comes over to come out. And Zipper ends up turning into a werewolf dog. And it is just thrown in your face, and then they run away. And he does not matter. It is not brought up again. Well, not until the very end, but it's like, there's a werewolf dog.
Also, a side note, but Bo and Jimmy do have more chemistry than Ellie and Jake, as well as Jimmy and whatever Bo's girlfriend name is. Jimmy and Bo go off to tell Ellie about what has happened. She, on the other hand, is at the opening of Jake's club and is confronting him about the fact that he is a werewolf, something that I clocked immediately when we were introduced to him. He doesn't try to hide it from her once she asks him about it, though, to his credit. But he says that he wasn't the one that attacked them that night. He was born a werewolf, something that's not really expanded on that much, but basically, different rules apply to him. The main thing that's important to this is that he controls when he shifts. Whoever attacked them apparently did not have that level of control. Obviously, he's somewhat involved, though, because there's not that many werewolves.
It's at this moment that the other werewolf decides to make its presence known, and it turns out it's been Joni all along. She's been making kind of snarky comments about Jake throughout the movie, but apparently it's a little bit more than that.
As it all turns out, Jody had been enjoying Jake's company before Jake met Ellie. Something that had been hinted at, framing it as though he decided to settle down once he met Ellie. But we did not know that lycanthropy can be treated very much like a sexually transmitted disease when Jake is involved. The police are called and the siblings meet them inside of the club. Jody is then baited out by Ellie insulting her parents. The police open fire and somehow that ends up working. I guess the silver thing is not actually necessary to be involved in killing a werewolf. She is now naked and dead, which is a bit confusing to some of the cops. But really, when you all know that was a werewolf, you can't be that surprised when it turns into a person.
Even though Joni is dead, the siblings are not out of the woods yet. She wasn't really the end of the werewolf line, Jake was. And Jake randomly decides to reveal himself as the actual villain the entire time for reasons that are not clear to me because there was nothing wrong with him. He was bland. That's my main complaint. Like he wasn't a bad person, just boring.
Jake is more than happy to have Ellie be the lady wolf to his big bad wolf, but Jimmy can't come along with them because there can only be one alpha. I don't know what about Jimmy makes Jake think that he's an alpha. I think in this case, alpha is just being used in place of the word male. That's about all I can say about the similarities between those two before it starts sounding a bit like bullying. Wes Craven, Omegaverse confirmed. They both suck at fighting, but eventually Jimmy turns into a werewolf and the tides start to turn. Then Ellie kicks some ass by stabbing Jake with a cake server that had been previously revealed to be pure silver. They then behead him and he just kind of blows up, which is a nice little bow at the end of that storyline.
8. The movie ends with everyone being human, except for Zipper, who is a golden retriever. Jimmy gets the girl, the dog likes them again. Ellie is single and she can focus on her career, which honestly kind of seems like a cool job, so good for her.
Really wish that we could have gotten the Wes Craven cut of the movie because I think we can all agree that this is not up to his usual standards. I'm not saying that he doesn't have some stinkers, I'm just saying that this isn't it. We can always blame Harvey Weinstein for ruining a decent horror comedy. Unfortunately, the original ending was never filmed, so we're never gonna get a Wes cut. Christina Ricci and Jesse Eisenberg did a did the best that they could with what they were given. They did have the best dynamic out of everyone in the movie, so at least that worked for them. Obviously, not a big fan of most of the other relationships. There were a lot of moments where I could see the usual style of director and writer. There was a hilarious moment with the werewolf Joni that I immediately think of when I think of this movie. I wish this would have a cult following, but it's simply not campy enough. It just lacks the zest that would have normally made this a fun Wes Craven movie. And I'm a bit bitter each time I think about it.
Thank you so much for watching. My name is Amanda. This has been Horror Historian. I don't like this movie. But would I survive it? I don't really have a problem with being a werewolf. Like, I just turn into an animal sometimes. It's not like the worst thing in the world. Like, I know, like, it attacks people, but, like, I'm fine with a cabin in the woods. Like, no one's gonna mess with me there. So I can, yeah, no, I'd be fine.